Hello friends, surely some of you have seen the first version of this video, and you may have wondered what happened with it. Well, what happened is that I had a lot of problems with that video. They put a lot of restrictions on it. According to them, the video was not family friendly. In the end, the video was shadow banned. It was impossible to appear in the recommendations, so I decided to delete it and wait another time to upload it again. And well, today I bring you a new version of this iceberg. Let's hope that this time we don't break any rules of the platform. For those of you who don't know what an iceberg is, let me explain it quickly. An iceberg is a list of weird, bizarre, disturbing, or sometimes just curious facts. An iceberg can be made up of several levels, and the further you go down these levels, the more interesting things get. The iceberg I bring you this time will consist of 6 levels. We will start at level 1 and end at level 6, with the most interesting facts and theories of the Baki series. Now, without further ado, let's go directly to the first level of the iceberg. Throughout the series, the ogre's height has constantly changed. Yujiro is 6'3" feet tall. Sometimes we can see him a little smaller than he actually is. Sometimes he looks the same size as the indestructible hanma, who is 8 centimeters shorter than him. And other times, he looks the same size as General Stratum, who is 18 centimeters shorter than him. Is it a drawing error, or does he have the ability to get bigger when he wants to? This is a little-known theory. Fans have started to debate the possibility that Jack is not actually Yujiro Hanma's son. This theory could work if we take into account the fact that Jack cannot activate his demon back. Even with all his training, Jack has not been able to awaken the hanma blood. So, could Jack really not be part of the hanma family? This theory suggests that Jack's mother wanted revenge at all costs, so she tricked Jack by telling him that Yujiro was his real father. But who would then be Jack's real father? This theory tells us that one of the guards or one of the bosses of the prison where Diane served her sentence is Jack's real father. I don't know. If we think about it, it's not too far-fetched. But well, let me know what you think about this theory. This is something very curious, since in the animated series Baki the Grappler, we saw a young Baki with orange hair. Then, in the Netflix series, we see Baki with a different hair color. This happens after Yujiro fought Baki for the first time. The simplest answer would be that this is due to hanma blood, although we could also assume that it is simply a change in drawing style. The famous power-up that Baki got after having his first time is always a topic of discussion, both for those who take it with humor and for those who take it more seriously. His father Yujiro was the one who advised him to do it day and night to increase his power, so we can assume that the hanma family has this peculiar way of training. There's really no explanation behind it, so I guess it's a unique ability of the hanma family. It is no secret that the Baki series has a large number of references to real life. In fact, the series introduces us to many historical characters. For example, the great Doppo Orochi is inspired by the Karate master Oyama Masafatsu. Oliva Biscuit is a clear representation of the Cuban bodybuilder Sergio Oliva. We also have Jun Guevara, who is inspired by the controversial Che Guevara. Like them, there are many other characters who are inspired by people in the real world. It's a funny and ridiculous fact. However, as crazy as it sounds, one guy on the internet dared to calculate the size of Yujiro's snake. Based on an image from the manga, this guy managed to calculate that Yujiro's snake measures 19 centimeters. Obviously, for someone like Yujiro, this is not even close. However, if we take into account that the Japanese average is about 13 centimeters, we could say that Yujiro has a big one. The Dark Tunnel is a deadly technique created by Gaia, the master of environmental combat. This technique consists of entering the opponent's body by making its way through the lower part to finally exit through the victim's mouth. The first and only time we see this technique is when Gaia attacks an army colonel using this technique. Everyone present is shocked as Gaia calmly retreats. Some may not know it, but Katsumi is actually Chinese and not Japanese. Doppo Orochi adopts him on one of his trips to China. This means that, after what happened to Retsu, Katsumi is the new heir to the Chinese martial arts. Now that he possesses Retsu's arm, he would be able to master techniques such as Shiori without any problem. In fact, in the sumo tournament we could already see him using some Chinese Kenpo. Many of us remember that the main wish of the 5 prisoners was to know defeat, and indeed they were all defeated and their wish came true. But the truth is that one of them had already known defeat in the past. I am talking about Yanagi. This man had already been defeated. The man who defeated Yanagi was Taisen Matsumoto, Kozue's father. The two fought in a tournament where the prize was a large amount of money. Taisen won, but unfortunately he was hit by Yanagi's poisonous hand and ended up dying in his disciple's arms. In the 3rd season of the series, Spec meets Baki. The colonel tricks the boy by amicably offering him his hand. But the moment Baki falls into the trap, Spec gives him a severed hand of someone else and laughs at him. Spec says that the hand belonged to one of Baki's loved ones. After saying this, the criminal beats Baki. It is not explained whose hand it belonged to, but perhaps it belonged to one of the friends Baki had when he was younger. During an interview with Keisuke Itagaki, he was asked why Ali Jr. couldn't beat Baki. Itagaki responded by saying that actually things were a bit complicated because from the beginning he thought of putting Jr. on the same level as Baki and Jack. In fact, he also mentioned that originally Ali Jr. was going to beat Jack. However, this idea was changed at the last minute, and some things took another turn. This would be the reason why Jr.'s starring role was cut so abruptly. Fans of the series have waited a long time to see the revenge of the prisoners. Recently, a spin-off series has been released with Gaia and Sikorsky as the main characters. It is not known if this series is canon or not. However, it does give some hope to fans to see the other inmates return and get their revenge. Maybe many fans of the series already knew this, but for those who didn't, here's a fact. The author of the famous anime and manga Beastars is Paru Itagaki, who is in fact the daughter of Keisuke Itagaki, the creator of Baki. She has never shown her face, and in her public appearances, she can be seen wearing a chicken mask. In chapter number 52 of Baki the Grappler, an event occurred that to this day remains unsolved. Yujiro Hanma was in a hotel room ready to sleep, but suddenly someone knocks on his door. Just as Yujiro tries to open the door, the person on the other side begins to turn the knob in the opposite direction. The strength of this mysterious person was so immense that Yujiro is surprised and does not understand what is happening. Yujiro breaks the door, but to his surprise there was no one on the other side. This person, in addition to being very strong, must have been incredibly fast. There are many theories. Some fans say it could be none other than Yuichiro Hanma, the ogre's father. Others say it was Dr. Koraha, or perhaps Nomi no Sukune. Another theory is that it was all just Yujiro's dream. It has long been theorized that the prehistoric caveman Pickle is an ancestor of the Hanma family. This is said because of the incredible strength and evolutionary capacity of the caveman, even down to his physical features. All this fits perfectly with the Hanma warriors. If this were true, it means that we have not yet seen Pickle's full potential. Imagine how strong he would be if he activates his demon back. In fact, some say that Pickle's Berserker mode is actually an ancient version of the demon back. Also, that fist clash Yujiro had with Pickle felt like a brotherly embrace between two brothers. The author of the Baki series is known for his somewhat controversial tastes. He likes to put his characters in weird situations. He also likes to create uncomfortable scenes for the fans. An example of these would be the following. After having Retsu's right arm implanted in his body, Katsumi was able to use the same Chinese Kenpo moves that Retsu was using when he was alive. Katsuma had not yet gotten used to this new arm. However, he decides to participate in the tournament that Mitsunari was organizing in the underground arena. Katsuma faced a Rikishi, and to everyone's surprise, his right arm moved on its own. Katsumi, without realizing it, had begun to use Chinese Kenpo even though he had never practiced it. It was clear that the memories of Retsu were still alive in his right arm. Also, at one point in the fight, Katsumi is touched by a presence that was at his back. Retsu's figure became present in the same way that Yuichiro Hanma had done before. In the latest episodes of the Baki series, Yujiro Hanma looks a completely different physique. The ogre looks bigger and more muscular than usual, to conclude that Yujiro has been training all this time. The truth is that Yujiro has never been seen training, or at least not seriously. On one occasion, we saw him stopping the arrows of that guy in grappler Baki. We also saw him swimming against very strong currents while he was on vacation. Some will say Yujiro was training and gaining muscle mass. Others will say this is just a change in Itagaki's drawing style. Whatever the reason, Yujiro's new design has caused controversy among fans of the series. Some like the old design better, and they are right. If we take a look at these designs, we will see that the old one was more aesthetic and detailed. Some fans continue to claim that Kozuha had cheated on Baki with Ali Jr. This is because of the interactions between these two characters. The scene that caught the most attention was when Kozuha went to comfort Jr. as he was crying after being defeated by Baki. I wouldn't say she felt sorry for him, and I don't think she was unfaithful to Baki either. I think she actually felt a kind of maternal affection towards Jr. She made it clear to him from the beginning that they could only be friends. Many of us have asked this question: has Hanayama ever trained? In an episode of Baki Gaiden Scarface, we can see that Chiba was walking as usual in the streets of Japan. He was thinking about how strong he wanted to become. He also thinks about Hanayama, his biggest idol. Chiba says that Hanayama has never needed to train to be strong, and that's why he admires him so much. However, a few seconds later, Chiba was perplexed by the figure that came running through the crowd. It was none other than Hanayama. Everything seemed to indicate that the giant was training. Chiba is shocked and asks Hanayama why he does that. But that question makes him angry, and he knocks Chiba out with a punch. After that, Hanayama goes on his way, but before he explains that it is a very special day, it was the sports day in Japan. Now we know that Hanayama does train, but he doesn't like his friends to see him doing it. Despite not being canon, Jack Hanma and Katsumi Orochi had a fight. This happened in a tribute to Baki made by the author of the manga Usagi, Sako Tashio. The fight was held in a place that did not seem to be the underground arena. Everyone present was betting large amounts of money on this fight. Even Hanayama and Yujiro joined in the betting. The ogre betting on his son and the Yakuza betting on Katsumi. The fight ended in a draw, as both fighters fell to the ground unconscious, and it was never known who would have won. But after all, Itagaki said he loved this tribute, and also commented that the fight was not too far from reality. There has been a lot of debate about whether the Baki spin-off series are canon or not. For example, we have two Hanayama spin-off series, one focusing on his school days and the other chronicling his early days as a mafia leader. In theory, the Hanayama spin-off school should be canon, as there are some references to it in Bakido. On the other hand, the recent spin-off Baki Gaiden Yuichiro is not written or illustrated by Itagaki. He only supervises and approves the script. However, this story takes all the events of the main story and connects them to his story. In conclusion, I would say that this depends on the creator of the series. He is the one who has the decision to say if things are canon or not. To this day, many of us are still angry after being trolled by Netflix some time ago. Surely many of you remember that image Netflix shared on their social networks. That image featured Baki Hanma and Tokita Oma facing each other. This was enough for fans of both series to explode with excitement. Unfortunately, this supposed collaboration was nothing more than a promotion. Baki and Oma were not actually going to fight. It was just a publicity image that the company shared to promote both series. But hey, there is no doubt that a real collaboration between these two series would break the internet. After Musashi was defeated with the help of Tokugawa's sister, the old man decided to keep the samurai's body in a laboratory. Despite everyone's complaints, Musashi's body is still in perfect condition and is waiting to be revived in the future. Therefore, many fans theorize that, inevitably, Minamoto will return and become the final boss. In my opinion, Musashi would be perfect as the final enemy. After all, we never saw him fight with his full power. I'm pretty sure that if Musashi comes back to life, this time we will see his darker and more savage side. This man was a true demon. He didn't mind taking hundreds of innocent lives to get to the top. So if he comes back to life, there will be total chaos. There are many theories about the origin of the Hanma family. There are some that say they are real demons and others that say they are actually beings from another planet. If I had to choose one, it would be the demons. In the Baki series, there is a lot of spiritual stuff going on, so the fact that demons exist is not far-fetched. Yujiro is the clear representation of what it means to be a demon. I'm not entirely convinced by the alien theory, but it's certainly very interesting. The only data we have about the Hanma family's past are the hieroglyphs in the pyramids of Egypt. In these illustrations, we can see how two creatures duel. One seems to be the father and the other the son. These hieroglyphs explain that both father and son are destined to fight for eternity, and in these fights one must surely die. In the Baki series, we have seen how several giant animals have appeared. As the clearest example, we have the African elephant that was able to defeat several vehicles with military weapons. The truth is that it has never been explained if these animals have been modified by man or if they have simply evolved into giants. Without a doubt, Baki has had one of the worst childhoods in the series. The poor boy had to spend his childhood training to try to be his father. This in a forced way because his mother demanded him to become stronger. If Baki didn't become stronger, his mother would never want him. In fact, this woman used to beat him and humiliate him if he did not show improvement. Everything was ruined for Baki when Yujiro sent his mother to the other world. Also, when he brought in that box that many will remember what it contained. Definitely, Baki could not enjoy his childhood and had several traumas on his way to defeat Yujiro. The power of imagination is a power that seems to be very recurrent in the Baki series. For a long time, it was said that this ability was exclusive to the Hanma family. Of this, we have several examples. Baki is possibly the character who has used this technique the most. However, there are several fighters who have also used this technique. For example, Nomi no Sukune or Musashi Miyamoto. These two fighters use a technique similar to Baki's imaginary projection. So we could say that any fighter with a good training could use this technique. Another debate is whether the vacuum sword technique is the same as the imagination technique. Some claim that Musashi uses the imagination technique for his invisible swords. Others say that this technique is actually something else. Either way, we still don't know much about this peculiar technique. In the spin-off of Scarface, it is revealed that the Grandmaster was trying to clone Yujiro Hanma and Hanma. Possibly this character was using the same technology Tokugawa used to clone Musashi Miyamoto. The thing is, we don't really know if these spin-offs are canon or not. But assuming it is canon, that means that maybe we would have art where we would see some clones of the strongest fighters in the underground arena. Some say that these clones will appear later in the manga Baki Do, and that Yujiro Hanma's clone would come to cause chaos. Will we ever see Yujiro's other sons? This is a question many of us are still asking ourselves. However, it seems that Itagaki has really forgotten this fact. But who knows, maybe in the future an African Hanma, a Latin Hanma, or an Italian Hanma will appear in the series. Yujiro once said that during his journey he spread his seed all over the world, but to this day we only know of two of his sons, Jack and Baki. Who knows, here everything can happen when you least expect it. This is undoubtedly one of the most shocking moments of the series. Yujiro had gotten out of control and was about to destroy all the fighters in the underground arena. However, Tokugawa orders his men to shoot him. The ogre is hit with tranquilizer darts and is immobilized with a bayonet. No one in the arena expected this, not even Yujiro himself. To this day, this event serves as a joke among the Baki fan community. Imagine the Yujiro of these days being defeated by darts in a net. In fact, those tranquilizer darts are the same ones with which Tokugawa put Pickle to sleep on many occasions. I wonder, if these darts were so lethal, why they didn't use them to stop that African elephant that showed up causing chaos at the beginning of Son of Ogre. What happened to Baki's mother was the starting point of many events that we now know in the series. In fact, there are some differences between the anime and manga version of this scene. In the manga, a more raw and disturbing scene is shown. If you pay attention between the two scenes, you can see the difference. This event marked the farewell of that orange-haired boy who always showed a smile in spite of everything. After this, Baki gets a great development as a character. You could say that his mother was the biggest obstacle in his way to live a free life, if we can call it that way. Due to Jack Hanma's life of intoxication, it is clear that he will not live for long. In fact, Dr. Kuriha has told him so on several occasions. But according to Jack's own words, he does not expect to live long. Jack's only motive for living is to defeat Yujiro Hanma, and thus avenge his mother. Many fans theorize that Jack's death could happen very soon. This after Jack rushed his confrontation against Baki. Recall that a couple of chapters ago, Jack challenged him to a fight. Either way, if this comes to be true, it would certainly be a big blow for fans of the biting cyborg. Recently in Baki Do, we were introduced to a new character, Tama no Kivaya. This guy is a descendant of the ancient sumo. The thing is that this guy appeared after kicking the famous Nasu stone. This is something that Itagaki took from real life to introduce into his story. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. A few months ago in Japan, it became known that the Nasu stone, or also known as the Killing Stone, had split in two. This stone attracted many tourists every year. In Japan, it was said that this stone contained the spirit of a powerful demon, and that the day the stone broke, the demon would be released from its chains. When this happened, there were many theories. However, I think it is just a reference to the real world. One of the things fans are asking for the most is an alien invasion in the Baki series. I'm not really convinced, but it would be something interesting for a non-canon spin-off. Fans demand that at some point Itagaki introduces an alien civilization different from the ones we already know about. Some fans say these beings could be conquerors who enjoy combat, so the series wouldn't stray too far from its roots. Imagine Yujiro teaming up with his two sons to defeat these invaders. It would definitely be something crazy to see. I have already uploaded 2 videos on this topic. You can watch them on the channel. But anyway, I'll give you a brief context. In the 100th episode of Baki Do, Dr. Kuriha was talking to a friend of his who was also a doctor. After analyzing the ogre's brain, both specialists come to the conclusion that Yujiro produces so much testosterone that for him all living things are female. In the same chapter, we meet Joe William, a man who used to climb mountains. This man tells us what happened to him when he met Yujiro Hanma. The reason for what happened is never explained. It is simply a shocking moment in the series. When this information came out, no one could believe it. Several fans of the series were so angry that they even stopped being fans of Yujiro. Without a doubt, this was one of the most bizarre moments in the series. The author of the Baki series has been accused on numerous occasions of being extremely nationalistic, due to his treatment of non-Japanese characters such as Muhammad Ali, Retsukayo, and Biscuit Oliva. Also, Itagaki has never cared what foreign audiences say about his work, which is why his manga is not distributed worldwide. And in case you didn't know, the Baki series is only published in Japan, which is why the manga is so hard to get hold of. Only a few countries managed to license the series, but only for a short time. Now the series will be released for the first time for Spanish speakers. Let's not forget that Itagaki likes to ridicule the United States of America. He made it very clear when he had the ogre humiliate the presidential candidates, including Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I'm not asserting anything, but this is certainly a topic for a separate video. Since the Retsukayo spin-off series was released, Many people are wondering whether this story is canon or not. To understand this, it should be noted that this story is neither written nor drawn by Itagaki. However, as we said before, he is the one who has the final decision. The series tells the story of Retsu's life after waking up in another world. In this place, the Kenpo master will have to fight against all kinds of adversaries and powerful creatures. In this spin-off, there are several references to the main story. In fact, this story starts from the moment when Musashi Miyamoto defeated Retsu. Without a doubt, the biggest mystery of the Baki series is what happened to Yuichiro Hanma. After hundreds of chapters, we still don't know anything about this guy. Some say that Yujiro ended his father's life after fighting with him. Others say he is still alive but faked his death. It is even said that the man who knocked on Yujiro's door was Yuichiro, who came to bother him. This guy always had a big smile on his face. He was practically undefeated. The only time he lost was in a fight fixed for money. Also, let's not forget that this monster faced a bombing from the air and came out unscathed. The only thing we have seen of this guy is when he manifested in front of Baki and Yujiro. Everyone present was able to see him, so we can rule out it being an illusion. And well, friends, here ends this interesting iceberg. Without a doubt, this has been the longest video I've ever uploaded. If you think some things are missing, feel free to say so in the comment box. It has taken me a while to compile all this information and put it into the video. And as I told you, I had some problems with the first version. So if you liked it, don't forget to leave a like and a comment. That helps me a lot. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.